Do you have a family member who is super irritating to you right now? If not, that person's probably you. Welcome to the Daily Devo. I am Vince Miller. So, a couple of updates. First off, I know I didn't send a Devo yesterday. Many of you let me know that. I appreciate it. Here's the situation. My batteries on my camera were fried, and I had to wait till they got here, so I got them today. So you're getting the Devo again today. Thank you for being patient with me. Secondly, next Monday, we launch a brand new weekly YouTube show. This is teaching from me in longer form each week for all of you. I want you to sign up for this. I want you to subscribe to YouTube. Watch it. You'll get notifications by email as well if you're a regular subscriber to the Daily Devo, so you can watch those. It's going to begin with a great series. I know you're going to love it. Get excited for it. You'll see a few more announcements from me. Anyway, back to the Devo. This week, we are in a new chapter, 1 Samuel chapter 19. I've titled this chapter, When Enemies Pursue, God Will Protect. So we're going to jump into our text today, reminding ourselves that we're in the place where David's life is being threatened by King Saul, and now Jonathan is going to advocate for him in verses 4 through 7. It reads, "And Jonathan spoke well of David to Saul his father, and said to him, Let not the king sin against his servant," notice the descriptor there, "his servant, because he has not sinned against you, and because his deeds have brought good to you. For he took his life into his hand, and he struck down the Philistine, and the Lord worked a great salvation for all of Israel. You saw it and rejoiced. Why then will you sin against innocent blood by killing David without cause?" And Saul listened to the voice of Jonathan. Saul swore, "As the Lord lives, he shall not be put to death." And Jonathan called David, and Jonathan reported to him all these things, and Jonathan brought David to Saul, and he was in his presence as before. You know what you need? You need different types of good and godly friends. Not just good friends, but godly friends who will have your back and risk something to stand in the gap between you and any enemy. That is what David has in Jonathan. He has an ally, like we talked about in the last chapter. Still, we see that Jonathan is also willing to advocate for him as a new member of the family, as a warrior, and as one through whom the Lord worked a great salvation in Israel, underscoring really the importance of you having good and godly friends. You see, in this situation, Jonathan is not oblivious to the situation in his family, and he's not going to sit around passively while this act of aggression and injustice takes place. He knows that his father's sinful progression toward David is ever increasing, so he decides to step in, to temper his father's spirit, and advocate for his friend and brother-in-law, trying to bring peace to the two men that he loves. Yet we all know that this is very hard to achieve in a family if the offended member just cannot get beyond a past situation. As long as I have lived, I have seen that most families have one member who harbors some bitterness from past situations. There's also a member with emotional or behavioral issues. Would you agree? When these two attributes combine into one person, this person plays the role of the angry, bipolar, grudge-holding family member. The problem in David's instance is that King Saul also retains all the power in the family system, which is oppressive because his authority and decisions trump everyone else's. Therefore, Jonathan steps in to play his role, which is the peacemaker. And if you've read ahead, which some of you have, you will know that this is a mere temporary fix, and the next 12 years of David's life was a living hell running from the bitterness, anger, and aggression of his father-in-law, King Saul. Nonetheless, David and Jonathan worked to honor God and honor Saul, his role, and all the relationships through it all. We all have difficult family members, don't we? My parents were challenging to love as a believer, but I also had to learn how to love and respect them even when our values didn't align, and remain faithful to the Bible's teachings, to honor them as far as possible. Today, I want you to reflect on how you're doing with this in your family. Consider the person's role that irritates you and find a way to maintain peace and godly character as far as possible. We don't get to choose our family, but we are responsible for choosing to act in a God-honoring way. I love you guys. I pray this has blessed you. If it has, share it with someone else. Get ready for that YouTube show, by the way, and I'll see you right back here again tomorrow. I promise.